Just a touch of Olivia's fingers, moments before, had stirred something in me that I was desperately trying to ignore. Her question kept echoing in my mind, as if etched onto my skin. "Clara, what are you doing?" I tried to focus on the empty cup in front of me, but my thoughts were far away, unraveling in a confusing, uncontrollable spiral. She was beside me, her expression a mix of uncertainty and caution. Her lips remained pressed together, revealing nothing, and when she handed me one of the coffee cups, our fingers brushed again, as if fate insisted on intertwining our paths. It was a brief touch, but charged, almost electric, resonating within me in an inexplicable way. Her gaze quickly shifted, as if she didn't want to prolong that contact, but I noticed a slight tremor in her hand that she might have been trying to hide. "Thanks," I murmured, barely audible, as if fearing my voice might shatter the delicate balance between us. We sat side by side, each holding our cup, and while the hospital continued with its silence punctuated by distant sounds, the air between us felt thicker. It was a palpable tension, a vibration filling every inch of space between us. I tried to redirect my thoughts to anything else, the responsibilities of my shift, the noise of the coffee maker, the white walls of the hospital, but it was impossible. Being there, feeling her presence so close, was an irresistible pull I didn't know how to control. Suddenly, Olivia broke the silence, her voice low, almost hesitant. "Clara, lately you've been acting different." She chose her words with visible care, but there was something in her tone that suggested genuine concern, a curiosity mixed with something deeper. I noticed a slight blush on her cheeks, which only intensified my own nervousness. "Different how?" I asked, trying to keep a casual tone, though I felt my words carried a weight I couldn't hide. She looked away, gripping the cup between her fingers. "I don't know. More intense, maybe." Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but I sensed there was more beneath it, something she was trying, unsuccessfully, to conceal. Despite her few words, I had the feeling that Olivia was on the verge of admitting something, and that realization brought a mixture of fear and desire. I smiled, trying to mask the nervousness consuming me. "Sometimes you just need to shake things up," I replied, avoiding revealing too much. I spent so long doing what was expected of me. Maybe now I just want to be myself. My eyes met hers, and for an instant I saw a spark in her expression, something she quickly hid by looking away. The silence that followed was thick, almost suffocating, as if every second of quiet revealed more than words could. Before I could think of a way to prolong the conversation, footsteps echoed down the corridor, and Olivia quickly stood, taking her cup and leaving the kitchen hurriedly, without looking back. I watched her disappear and realized that every minute spent beside her only deepened my feelings. But the hardest part was knowing I couldn't freely express this. During my shift, the restlessness wouldn't leave me. Each patient interaction, every brief conversation with colleagues, each second felt contaminated by that unresolved feeling. By late morning, the anguish was so intense that I knew I needed to confide in someone. So I looked for Marina, my friend and confidant. She was sitting in the cafeteria, flipping through a magazine. But when she saw me, she looked up with a concerned expression. We'd known each other for years, and she was one of the few people who truly understood me. "Clara, you look strange," she commented, smiling, though her gaze was serious. "Want to tell me what happened?" I sighed, hesitant. "Marina, I think I'm falling for someone." The words felt heavy in my mouth, as if saying them made them more real. She raised her eyebrows, visibly surprised. "Who's the lucky one?" she asked, leaning slightly toward me, as if she already had a suspicion. I felt my face flush. "It's Olivia." Marina's smile softened, as if she understood what that meant. "Wow, I didn't see that coming. And what do you feel when you're near her?" I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to find the words. "It's different, Marina. Like there's something between us that no one else can see. I feel a connection, but I don't know if I'm imagining things, reading it wrong." She placed her hand over mine. "Clara, I know you, and I know you don't make drama without reason. If you feel this, there's probably something there, but you won't know if she feels the same if you don't try. Sometimes we have to take risks." Her words lingered with me for the rest of the shift. Later, as I wandered the corridors, I saw Olivia leaning against the wall, arms crossed, staring distantly. She seemed oblivious to what was happening around her, and for a second, I hesitated to approach, but I quickly realized I needed to resolve this, one way or another. "Olivia?" I called softly. She lifted her gaze slowly, surprised to see me, and something in her expression changed. I couldn't tell if it was relief or embarrassment, but there was a mix of feelings that seemed to leave her vulnerable. "Clara, about what you said earlier," she began, as if needing to get it off her chest, "about living differently." Her voice was cautious, almost fearful, as if she didn't want to know where that conversation would lead. "And what do you think?" I asked, trying to stay calm, though my heart was racing so fast I feared she might hear it. She took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "I think it's complicated. We have a friendship, Clara, and I just don't want to lose that." The fear in her voice was clear, but there was a hint of desire she was trying to hide. "I know it's not simple," I said, looking into her eyes. "But sometimes, the most complicated things are the ones worth it." I moved closer until our shoulders nearly touched, and I felt her hold her breath. The silence between us was loud, but before I could make a move, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Olivia quickly pulled back, as if the spell had been broken, resuming her professional stance and casting a final look before walking away. Later, at the end of my shift, I stepped into the elevator and, to my surprise, there she was. Our eyes met the instant the doors closed, and the air felt heavier around us. It was a silence filled with everything we couldn't say. "Olivia," I began, but my voice faltered for a second. "Can we continue this conversation?" She sighed, looking at the floor. "Clara, I don't know how to deal with this," she admitted, her voice low and uncertain. "This is new for me." "I understand," I replied, trying to keep my tone calm. "I just want you to know I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." I touched her fingers tentatively, and she didn't pull away. Instead, her fingers intertwined with mine for a brief moment. The feeling was indescribable, but before we could process what it meant, the elevator stopped, and she immediately let go, leaving in a hurry. Later that night, I found her in the break room, lying on the couch, her face serene but slightly worn from exhaustion. I approached slowly, and she opened her eyes as she noticed me, offering a gentle smile. "Have you ever thought about doing something impulsive, Olivia?" I whispered, sitting beside her. "Something that could change everything?" She laughed softly, nervously. "I've never been the impulsive type, Clara, but maybe it's time to change that." And there, without further hesitation, she held my hand firmly. Our eyes met, and slowly we leaned in until our faces were close, breaths intertwined. But before our lips touched, a sound interrupted us. She pulled back immediately, blushing, but her gaze held the look of someone finally admitting what they felt. Later, as the early light of dawn broke, I saw her getting ready to leave. I approached, gently holding her arm. "Olivia, can we talk more later?" I asked, my voice thick with urgency. "I need to go home, Clara," she said, her voice trembling in a way that made my stomach drop. "I need to rest and see my husband." She barely ever mentioned her husband. "All right, I understand." I stepped back, feeling sure I'd never speak to her again. "Clara, wait." She then held my hand and said, "I'm sorry. Give me time to think this through, okay?" I nodded, and she left the room quickly, leaving me with a bit of hope that maybe we still had a chance. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe to the channel and comment to see part 3.